Hi, I'm Mike Shimshak, Field Engineer at Likewise Software. Today we'll be looking at storing Unix properties for Active Directory-based users and groups using Likewise cells. Likewise allows you to connect your Unix, Linux, and Mac systems to Microsoft Active Directory for authentication, authorization, and auditing. A cell is an identity map that allows you to configure Unix properties such as UID or GID, home directory, and login shell for AD users and groups. It is configured using Likewise extensions for the Active Directory users and computers management console or our own cell manager console. A cell is associated with a particular organizational unit within the directory tree or the domain root itself. To get started, we'll right-click on an existing organizational unit and open up the Properties page for that object. Now that the Properties page is loaded, you will now see a new tab labeled Likewise Settings. We will select this tab and you will now have the ability to create or modify an existing cell. Since a cell does not yet exist at this level, we will check the box next to Create Associated Likewise Cell and click the Apply button to write the changes to the directory. Once that is completed, you'll see the domain users group has been automatically added to the list. This is done because all Unix users must be a member of at least one group. Since all directory users are members of the domain users group by default, it is automatically added and chosen as the primary group to simplify initial user additions. Adding this group does not mean all domain users can now log on. It simply means a GID has been established for the group. The primary group configuration can be changed once additional groups are added to the cell, as long as the users are also members of that group within Active Directory. Before adding users, you can also set some defaults like home directory path or logon shell. We will add a user to the cell by clicking on the Add button. Here you have a basic directory search window to find your user. We will begin by typing in the name. Once that's done, we'll click the Check Name button to resolve it and click OK to add the user. Once the user is added to the list, we can highlight that user and configure all of his individual Unix properties. The UID value defaults to the same hash value that would be used by Likewise Open, but can now be changed to any custom alternative if an existing UID standard is preferred. If we ever want to restore the unique hash value, we can simply click on the Suggest button. Based on which AD groups have already been added to the cell and assigned a GID, the drop-down box will now show one or more groups to choose from. The home directory and shell settings are taken from the template settings defined at the top of the Properties page. These can be changed per user, or you can simply keep the defaults. Likewise also supports storing geckos or description information for the user or group, as well as login name or alias option. An alias serves two main purposes. The first is to provide support for secondary names. For instance, in this example we have added Frank Anthony to the cell, and Frank's SAM account name in Windows is F. Anthony. Perhaps Frank was created in a local Etsy password file as Frank instead. If we wanted to allow Frank to continue logging in with his Frank username instead of F. Anthony, we could type Frank into the login name field, and the Likewise agent will associate the two in the background. Using an alias also simplifies the login process. With the default settings, users would typically have to log in using a domain/username format. In a single domain environment, this can be simplified for all users using a single group policy setting. However, in multiple domain environments, aliases are a great way to link a simple name format to an object in a trusted domain. Adding a group to the cell is the same process. First, we'll click the Add button. We'll search for a group that we want. In this case, we'll look for Linux. We have a listing of groups that match that. We'll select the Linux Full Admins group. Click OK, and OK again to add it to our cell. And now once we've done that, we can hit Apply to save the changes to the directory. One thing you'll notice when adding a group is you'll also be prompted and asked if you want to also add the users of that group at the same time, or simply just establish the GID for the group itself. Clicking Yes adds all the additional users. Clicking No will just establish the GID. In this case, we'll click Yes. Those changes are saved. The only member of this group happens to be Frank Anthony, which he is already established within the cell, so no additional users were added. However, we click on Frank Anthony now, The GID drop-down box now includes Linux full admins as an available group for the default. So we can click on that and apply those changes as well. Now that we've created a cell and associated it with a particular organizational unit, we can now join a non-Windows system to Active Directory. As part of the join process, we can establish a specific organizational unit to create the machine account in. The location of the machine account in relation to the cell location will determine which identity list a particular system will use. This process allows you to maintain multiple cells if necessary, and create multiple identity configurations for a single Active Directory user or group. Associating a system to a different cell is as easy as dragging and dropping the machine object from one OU to another and restarting the authentication daemon. Here we type in the credentials to perform the join process. We click OK. And now the domain join toolkit will automatically join the system to Active Directory. Once that's completed, we'll hit close, and we can begin logging in, authenticating with our Active Directory identities. Lastly, some environments may require a separation of duties. Likewise simplifies the security configuration tasks by providing a delegation wizard within the Cell Manager utility. Here we can right-click on an existing cell and provide granular controls to specific users and groups. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. For more information, please contact us at info@likewise.com.